The province has marked this week Saskatchewan Aquatic Invasive Species Awareness Week. So here to share more about the impact these species can have on our waterways is Jerry Geiger with the Ministry of Environment. Jerry, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What are aquatic invasive species? Give us some examples that we might see here in our province.
Sure. So aquatic invasive species there's a couple of pieces that are involved. So first, it's any aquatic animal, plant, organism. It can be an infectious disease as well that has the ability to negatively impact our environment, our economy, or our society. So some common examples, some things you may have heard of here in Saskatchewan. We have Prussian carp. Things like goldfish are very common aquatic invasive species. And then, of course, a species that we're very concerned about are, things like zebra and quagga mussels as well.
Okay, so let's explain to us what effect these species have on our waterways if they do get into it.
Yeah, so they very commonly will interrupt food webs. So in the case of, zebra quagga mussels, they're filter feeders. So they're filtering out the good bacteria, the good algae, the zooplankton that other species rely on for food. So they can really disrupt those food chains. As far as infrastructure in the economy, especially things like zebra and quagga mussels, they have the ability to, decrease property values because of the impacts to things like infrastructure. They're going to coat your docks. They're going to clog water intakes. Again, for things like hydroelectric power generation or any kind of drinking water intake, they just wreak havoc on infrastructure. So we've seen that areas where zebra and quagga mussels have been introduced, they tend to see that kind of economic loss in property value, reduced areas for recreation and things like that, because their shells, once they die, will wash up on the beach and they're quite sharp. Likewise with aquatic invasive plants, they're going to wash up and then we have rotting vegetation on the beaches. So it just has the ability to kind of take away from that recreational experience that we so enjoy using our water bodies for.
How do some of these species come into the province? Is it mostly like hitchhiking on boats, or what are some of the ways?
Yeah, so that's a very common pathway, we call it, or method that water or aquatic invasive species are transported, is on that movement of recreational watercraft, either through attaching and hitchhiking a ride on the watercraft itself, or potentially the equipment in the watercraft. So things like anchors or life jackets. But they can also be transported in standing water. So for zebra and quagga mussels, the larval, or juvenile phase or stage of that species is microscopic and can be transported in very small amounts of water. So when we're moving watercraft that has standing water in a live well or a bilge, or any equipment that's wet and that's put away wet, it has conditions or creates conditions that allow that species to survive out of water for an extended period of time, which allows them to be transported potentially from one water body to another. Depending on the species, there's a number of other species, obviously, with things like goldfish. A common method or arrival for those species into our waters is through release, whether it be intentional release or, in cases where we might have something like flooding, where we see ponds flood and those species make their way into waterways. But as far as zebra and quagga mussels, we're really concerned about that overland transport of recreational watercraft.
Okay, yeah, no, the damage being done is awful, and we got to all work together, right, to kind of prevent these things from getting into our waterways. For more information, Jerry, where can we go to find out what we need to know?
Yeah, exactly. So to prevent, AIS, we want to clean, drain, dry our watercraft and all equipment. And to find out more, you can head to saskatchewan.ca and search aquatic invasive species, and you'll find a bunch of information on how you can take steps to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species.
All right, it's very important, especially at this time of year. Thank you so much for a few minutes this morning.
Thank you.